Welcome back to another Tutorial Tuesday. Today we're heading for Belgium to learn about this legendary racetrack, Spa-Francorchamps. It's got a little bit of everything: long straights, fast corners and enormous elevation changes. First, we'll explain how to master this track in our track guide, but be sure to stick around because we'll also dive into some setups, analyze how you can use them to your advantage, and you can analyze your own data when you sign up on tracktitan.io using referral code TutorialSpa. And consider subscribing if you don't want to miss any of our future uploads. Starting the lap, you want to stick as far to the left as possible. Hit the brakes just as you pass the 100-meter board. Keep the car in a straight line when braking. Take a wide line, shifting down to second gear and make a late apex. You can gently clip the apex curb, but don't use all of it if you want the best grip from the tires. On the way out of turn 1, you can short shift up to third gear and miss the exit curb to avoid any loss of traction. From here on out, we're going full throttle through Eau Rouge in 8th gear. Fully over the flat curb to straighten our line. In radial, we want to get as close to the inside curb as possible without getting onto it, or we're risking a crash. Use as little steering lock as you can get away with to maximize the speed onto the Kimmel straight. Try to take as much curb as track limits will allow, stay smooth, carry as much speed onto the Kimmel straight, and get ready to open DRS. After the Kimmel straight follows the Lacombe chicane, a prime overtaking spot around Spa. Brake just as you pass the 50-meter board. Fully mount the inside curb for the best line and use 4th or 5th gear depending on what your setup is. And we'll talk more about setups later on in the video. Aim to compromise your line out to favor the left-hander, as you need to be over to the left again on the way out of turn 6. Take a wide line and carry as much speed as you can by mounting the full inside curb. If you need, you can run wide onto the full exit curb here, right up to the gravel. Turn 8 is a bit of a tricky corner, primarily because it's all the way downhill. You need to trail brake on your way in, which makes locking up very easy. Stay tight to the inside, but be sure not to use the curb and maintain third gear. Short shift on exit, running up to the wide line before heading back over to the right side for the next corner. Use the entry curb as your turn-in point and shift down to 4th gear. Taking the right amount of curb here is important. Get early on the power and run the car out to the barrier using all of the legal track limits. Get right up to the entry curb in 8th gear before a quick lift and a downshift to 7th after the 50-meter board. Turn in and get straight back on the power. Use minimal steering lock here and stay off the nasty inside curb, or you could send yourself into a spin. Begin to trail brake just as the curb starts and shift down to 5th gear. Stay off the inside curb until very late in the corner and then gently kiss it to avoid spinning out. Scrub past the inside curb, as this one can unsettle your car tremendously. If you're looking for every last fraction of a second, you can try your luck on this curb. Run out over the full exit curb and make your way back to the left again for the following corner. Use the curb on the corner entry as a braking point, dab the brakes just a little before turning in using 4th gear. You can gently clip this curb or avoid it to keep the tires gripping the tarmac. Use all of the curb on exit and run along it all the way until you turn in for T15. Try to narrowly avoid the inside curb, as it will not gain you any time, it will only risk a spin. Stick to the inside through the next section and try to scrub off as little speed as possible. Turn 17, Blanchiment, is easily done on full throttle. Try to make your way through here as smooth as possible to keep that top speed up. The bus stop is next. We brake right when we pass the 100-meter board and keep the car in a straight line during the braking zone. Take some of the inside curb, stay off the sausage, and then in 2nd gear make a late apex to exit the bus stop. Try to straighten the exit for the best traction and short shift to kill any wheel spin, remembering to hit DRS as soon as the car is stable. And when you're hot lapping or qualifying, you can use a wide line through the bus stop to give you a little more speed when you're starting your lap. Setups are important to get right on tracks like Spa. It has 2 enormously long straights on which you want as little downforce as possible. But you also have to deal with quite a few mid and high speed corners in which downforce would be pretty nice to have. Track Titan has this all new feature where you can see the recommended setup for specific F122 tracks. So we're going to analyze the difference between a lap in which the standard F122 setup was used and a lap in which the Track Titan recommended setup was used. Let's talk about the ridiculously fast sectors first, the Camel Straight and from Stavelot to the bus stop. In these parts you want as little downforce as possible because it's only slowing you down. Any kink in the road is easily done flat out even with low downforce. In this Track Titan analysis we can see the difference between the setups. The orange driver is using the standard setup while the blue driver uses the recommended setup. When we look at the sheer speed and time differences, a case for low downforce setups is easily made. But this low downforce comes at a cost, of course, as anything in life does. And we can see that here in the chicane right after the Camel Straight, the orange driver can maintain a higher minimum speed because of the extra grip of their downforce. We can see the same thing in the left fine chicane, through which a couple of tenths are regained. But these are the only parts of the track. The more downforce heavy standard setup is more useful than the Track Titan recommended one. So this is not worth it in the slightest, considering the orange driver is almost 2 seconds slower around the whole track using this standard setup. When we look at the lead up to Eau Rouge, we can see that the blue low downforce driver is steadily gaining a higher top speed, and this speed advantage keeps compounding over the whole Camel Straight. Using the Track Titan recommended setup gains the blue driver a second over the orange driver before he's even done with the Camel Straight, which is a perfect example of why it's so important to use the correct setup for the job. So come and check out the recommended setups over at Track Titan, analyze your own driving and make good use of those setups for free for a month when you sign up using the referral code TutorialSpa. Now let's wrap up the video by going over some key points. Spa is a track where you're going flat out more often than anything else, which is why it's important to keep the minimum speed high and to know which curbs you can take and which to avoid. Low downforce setups are king at Spa, mainly because you don't have to lift your foot off the gas from La Source to the end of the Camel Straight and from Stavelot to the bus stop. You want to carry as much speed as possible on these long straights, so downforce should not be your concern. Most mid to high speed corners around Spa aren't a struggle with the lack of downforce, so be sure to set up your car for this fact. And that's it for this Tutorial Tuesday. Let us know in the comments down below if you agree with everything or you have some tips of your own, and we hope to see you in the next one.